Welcome back, I'm George, and this is the complete setup and guide for the new Nintendo Switch 2. I am going to show you around the console, I am going to show you the different ways you can use it, and of course, I'm going to set it up the right way and give you a tour around the system. Now, that being said, and starting from the beginning, as you can see, this is the new Nintendo Switch 2, which, by the way, feels very premium compared to the old Nintendo Switch. Feels very sturdy in the hand and much more like a console instead of a toy. Now, taking a look at the bottom, as you can see, we have a USB-C port like we had with the original console. We have some speakers on the left and right, and also we have a hatch for the improved stand. As many of you know, the new Nintendo Switch 2 has a new and improved stand, which can regulate the angularity, so to say, so we can place the console in any angle and position we want. And judging by the time that I've been using the console, I can tell you it is much more premium than the one on the original Nintendo Switch. It feels very sturdy, it doesn't wobble, and it feels like you can trust it instead of, the little hatch we had before. This is something that I can see myself using in my day-to-day life when I'm trying to play the console on a desk. Now, if we take a look at the top of the console, we will find the ventilation system. This is where hot air comes out so the console can keep a good temperature. We have another USB-C port, which is very interesting. We can now charge the console while it is standing vertically on a desk. So we could be using the stand like this and then charging the console at the same time. We then also have a headphone jack, so we can connect any headphones to the Nintendo Switch 2. And to the left, we have the volume buttons and the power button like we had on the old Nintendo Switch. Now, as you can see, both to the left and right of the console, we have the new Joy-Cons attached, in this case, magnetically. In this case, if we want to securely remove them from the console, we have to pull from this lever right here on the back, like this, and automatically both Joy-Cons will come out effortlessly and in a safe way. Now, as you can see, these are the new Joy-Cons, which are pretty similar in shape to the old ones, but they actually are a little bit bigger, and much like the rest of the console, they also feel a little bit more premium and high quality. The buttons are bigger, they feel better when you click them, and surprisingly, we have a much better and much more premium feeling joystick than we had on the old Nintendo Switch. Now, as you can see, and this applies to both left and right controllers, we also have some additional buttons on the internal side of the controller. This is what we would see covered when we attach it to the Nintendo Switch, that allow for each Joy-Con to be used individually when you want to play with someone else. So you could hand the right Joy-Con to your friend or your brother, sister, whatever, and then you could use the other one to play, for example, multiplayer Mario Kart. And well, I'm pretty sure you already know this, but to attach the Joy-Cons to the Nintendo Switch, you simply have to get it close to the console, and it automatically magnetically attaches like that, and it's very satisfying. Now, that being said, this is only one of the ways you can use the Nintendo Switch. In this case, as you can see, it is a handheld console. We can use it as if it was only a handheld console. But you've seen probably that on the box, we also have a dock. And this is going to help you use the Nintendo Switch as a traditional living room console, so to say. So if you want to play your Nintendo Switch attaching it to a display or a monitor, you first have to detach the Joy-Cons from the base console like this, very easy. Then you would have to attach the base console into the dock like this until it snaps. And then you would need to access this accessory right here, which is also in the box, and then attach the controllers to the accessory like you would to the normal base console. There it is. Once we do this, we would have a setup that looks like this, now much closer to a normal living room console like a PS5 and its controller. And finally, we would have to detach the bottom of the dock and then connect your AC adapter from the console into the wall and your HDMI cable from the dock into your display or monitor. So let's first attach the AC adapter, which by the way comes included in the box. Let's now attach the HDMI cable, which also comes included in the box. We could then, by the way, also attach a Ethernet cable if we want to plug the Nintendo straight into the wall for better internet connection. And then, of course, plug the other two cables into the display and into the wall. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you already know, but one of the coolest new features on the Nintendo Switch 2 is that the new Joy-Cons can also be used as a mouse, meaning your traditional mouse you use to navigate your computer. So if you attach these accessories right here, which once again come included in the box, let's see how I can attach them to the console. I think you have to attach the bottom part first, and then it snaps like this, very easy. You can essentially use the Joy-Con as a mouse on a table to play games on the Nintendo Switch, and who knows, maybe in the future to control a mouse interface like a computer. As you can see, it is the same thing with the right Joy-Con, so let's attach this one too, starting from the bottom into the top, like that. And now we have a complete mouse setup for the Nintendo Switch 2. I think at launch we're going to get a couple games that support this mode, like the new Metroid Prime 4, and I'm not really sure which other games are going to support it, but this is going to be an option for current games and future games on the Switch 2, so you want to keep these accessories around just in case. But anyways, that being said, we have now covered the external components on the console. We have covered the two main ways to use it. It is time to turn it on and set it up. So let's of course tap right here on the power button at the top left of the console, and automatically the console will turn on in a couple seconds, giving us access to the setup menu. As you can see, we get a Nintendo Switch 2 logo, and immediately we get access to the main page where we can choose the language. In this case, let's tap on English US. Let's then tap on Europe, since I live in Spain. As you can see, then you get some relevant information about the system, which would be the equivalent of a user guide. You can, of course, tap on Next and skip it. Then it gives you access to your internet settings, so you can access your Wi-Fi and keep setting up the console with internet connection. Of course, here you just have to tap on your internet connection, type in the password, and you're done. As a cue, you should see this message right here indicating that the internet connection is properly set up. Let's tap on OK. Let's now select the time zone, which in my case is Madrid, since I live in Spain. And here is where things get interesting, because you will have the option to transfer your data from your old Nintendo Switch. Now, in this case, I'm pretty sure some of you will have an old Nintendo Switch and you want to transfer the data, and some of you don't have an old Nintendo Switch. So I'm going to essentially show you both ways. Don't worry, there's going to be timestamps down below, so you can just go to the part you're interested in and then move on to the rest of the video. Let's begin with the option to not transfer the data from an old Nintendo Switch. In this case, we have to tap right here, then tap on Next. Then we want to tap on I'm using the stand, although we are not using it. In this case, it is going to force us to do a little tutorial on how to use the Joy-Cons. So let's detach them like this. There we go. And then we have to tap on A and Next. Setting it up to a TV is pretty easy. I already showed you earlier, so let's tap on Later. Let's tap on Skip right here, and then tap on OK. As you can see, it is telling you what I already told you earlier, so we don't have to go through that again. Now we essentially have to create a user, which can both be done by signing up into your Nintendo account, creating a Nintendo account, which is done by tapping right here. Or if you're not interested in creating an account, you can also tap on Add without signing in. Now, in this case, I'm going to sign into my account. In this case, if you already have an account, you want to tap on Other sign-in methods. And if you don't have an account, you want to tap on Create a new account. In this case, I can't really show you much because it involves, showing you my account and password and stuff like that. Let's tap on OK. It will tell you that your user has been added into the system. And now you just have to tap on Skip, 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 and you're essentially done. You can tap on the home button right here, and you will access your new Nintendo Switch. As you can see, we get a very neat animation, and then it launches us into the main menu for the Nintendo Switch, which looks pretty similar. It has a couple differences from the old one, but as you can see, it is essentially the same thing. But anyways, back here once again to the setup menu. Now I want to show you how to properly pair and connect and transfer your data from an old Nintendo Switch. Now to do this, you are of course going to need an old Nintendo Switch nearby the new one and connected to the same internet connection. This is very important. Once this is done, you want to tap on System Settings on the old Nintendo Switch. You want to scroll down into System, and then you want to make sure that the system is up to date because we need a new functionality all the way at the bottom called System Transfer to Nintendo Switch 2. Now, you want to leave the Nintendo Switch 1 right here. Don't do anything else. Now let's move on to the new Nintendo Switch and tap on Start System Transfer. Now, in this case, it is going to tell you about micro SDs because, well, you can transfer the data into a micro SD. I don't think this is necessary because we are just going to be saving or transferring the game files. So let's tap on Skip. Now it will ask you to sign into your Nintendo account, which is, of course, necessary to sync both consoles. They both have to be using the same Nintendo account. As you can see, I am now successfully logged into my Nintendo account on both consoles. Let's tap on OK. There we go. And now this is very important, and you have to get it right. You need to connect both the new and the old Nintendo Switches to the official power bricks with the official cables. I'm not really sure why, or the process won't start. They won't let you do it. As you can see, if we tap on Next, it will tell you to connect an AC adapter. And unless you connect the original official Nintendo AC adapter, it won't work. So let's connect it to both the new one and the old one. This has been a little pain in the ass to set up, but yeah, we have to do this way or it won't work. Now let's tap right here on Next. And if both consoles are nearby, let's tap here on Next too. They should detect each other. In a couple seconds, we should see this menu where both consoles are trying to find each other. And there we go. This may take 5, 10, 15 seconds, but it will eventually show this menu right here where it offers to start downloading. And just like that, it is going to port all of the game files, the save files from the old Nintendo Switch into the new one. So yeah, it is not going to take much because it's not downloading all the data, all like the physical video games. It is just going to download the data, the save data. So yeah, in like 5 minutes at most, it is going to be done. There we go. It has now finished with the transfer process. It is now setting the system up. This is only going to take a couple seconds. In fact, we can tap on OK on the old Nintendo Switch and we would be done. We don't need it anymore. And there we go. Just like that, the system transfer is complete. We can now tap on OK, OK, and now we get the last menu. This is essentially going to show you what I told you about earlier. So we can tap on Next, tap on I'm using the stand. This is a forced tutorial. We essentially have to detach the Joy-Cons. Nothing too crazy. I already told you earlier. We can just tap on the lever right here on the back. Then we want to tap on OK, tap on Later, skip this because I already told you. And finally, this is more of what I told you earlier. Let's tap on OK. We can finally finish the setup process, tapping right here on the home menu and getting access to the new Nintendo Switch 2 for the first time. As you can see right now, there it is. It is going to show you the same layout you had before on your old Nintendo Switch. In this case, as you can see, I had it with the dark mode enabled, and it shows the same video game files because, once again, we have transferred the same video games into the console. Now, once this is done, as you can see, all of your old video games will start downloading onto the new console, at least the ones you had downloaded from the Nintendo eShop. But let's assume you don't have any of these video games. You've set up your Nintendo as a new console, and you want to understand the main menu and where you can find everything. As you can see, there's 3 main segments on the Nintendo Switch 2, like there were on the old Nintendo Switch. We have the top row where we can find your user information. So if you tap on your icon right here, you'll see all of your user data. So you can see your played games, how many hours you've spent. This is a little, shameful that I've spent so many hours playing all these games, but they're pretty good, to be fair. They're really, really good video games. And you can also check your time, Wi-Fi, and battery percentage on the right side of the console. Now, on the middle section, you'll find all of your video games. If this is a new console you've just set up as a new console, of course, you won't have any video games. I'll show you how to download or get access to video games later. And finally, on the bottom bar right here, we get access to all of the Nintendo services. So first of all, we have Nintendo Switch Online, which lets you play online gaming with your normal video games and let you access at the same time a very large catalog of old Nintendo games. In this case, you would have to tap on the icon right here, tap on your user, and essentially wait for the setup process to begin. Now, in this case, it is a paid service, unfortunately, so we would have to tap on options for subscription and then purchase either an annual or monthly subscription, which, to be fair, it is kind of expensive. If you want to just play online gaming, you have to spend $20 a year. And then if you want to play online games, plus the expansion packs with all of the old Nintendo Switch video games from the NES, from the Nintendo 64, from the GameCube, and even more consoles coming up in the future, you will have to spend $40 or euros every 12 months. Now, moving on, we also have Game Chat, which is essentially going to give you a live feed of your friends while you play video games, so you can see their faces in real time. But unfortunately for this, you have to buy the official Nintendo webcam, and all of your friends also have to buy the official Nintendo webcam. So unless you're very lucky and all of your friends have it, this is not going to be very useful. Now, moving on, you also have news, which essentially is going to tell you about upcoming video games, upcoming updates for video games, and more Nintendo-related stuff. You also have the Nintendo eShop, which is probably the most important section in this bottom row because it's where we will access or find new video games to purchase and then play. Now, in this case, for some reason, we have to log into our Nintendo account again. So even if you're logged into your Nintendo account from before, you have to do it again to log into the Nintendo eShop. But once you do it, you'll be able to access the eShop, where, as you can see, you get access to all of the video games you can play on the Nintendo Switch. So you can download, spend money on the game first. Some of them are going to be $60, $70. I'm not really sure why this one is only $10. Breath of the Wild for $10 is kind of a steal. I already have it, so it's not really useful, but wow, $9 for Breath of the Wild is pretty amazing. And well, if you want to filter out the different kinds of games, you have a offered category where you can see every game that's discounted. You have categories for each type of game. So in this case, we have Nintendo Switch 2 exclusives and we have Nintendo Switch 1 video games, which now I think I understand why Breath of the Wild was $9. It's because it was not the game, it's the update package for Nintendo Switch 2. You can check recent launches of, new video games. We can check upcoming video games. We can also access Nintendo Switch Online from this tab, so we can purchase an annual or monthly subscription straight from here. And down below, we can also redeem a code. So I'm pretty sure some of you, when you bought your Nintendo Switch 2, you got access to a digital video game. In this case, Mario Kart World is a very typical game that's bundled with the Switch. So if you get a little paper like this with the console, you can come here to the bottom section, tap right here, and redeem the code that way in a very easy way. And by the way, don't bother, I have already redeemed this code, so don't try. Now also here on the bottom row, we have access to an album where we can store different screen captures and screen recordings of the different video games on the console. We also have access to Game Share, which is a new feature on the Nintendo Switch 2 that essentially lets you share a video game that you purchased on the eShop with your friends during a specific amount of time. I think it is 30 days. So you can still barter video games with your friends like we did before with cartridges without having to have physical games. Now also here we have a controllers menu, which essentially is going to teach you about the basics on using the controllers, which I already showed you earlier, so you don't have to bother. Then we also have virtual game cards, which essentially shows you all of the eShop bought video games on your Nintendo Switch. In this case, as you can see, I have Mario Kart World, I have Fall Guys, Night in the Woods, Hollow Knight. All the video games that I bought through the Nintendo Switch eShop are going to show in video game cards. And by the way, something very interesting is that you can only have these video games in one console. So if you have your new and old Nintendo Switch, you have to port the game from the old one to the new one, as you can see. So we have to load it into the system. There we go. Because for some reason, even if you have two Nintendo Switch consoles that are both yours and both have your account, you can only play a video game that you bought online if it's ported into your Nintendo. Now, finally, here below, we have the system settings where we'll control the Wi-Fi settings, Bluetooth settings, parental controls if you want to, give this console to your kids. This is not very different from the menus we would have on an iPhone. And well, this is also where you can add a user. So if you want to lend this console to your friend or to your sister, daughter, whatever, you can add a user right here so they can load the games from their own profile and they don't mess with your stuff. Now also here on display, you'll be able to change the display resolution. So if you connect it to a TV that is 1440p or 4K or 1080, you can set it up right here, although it is set to automatic, which is the ideal option. You can also adjust the screen size. So if it's connected to a TV and the edges don't quite match the ones right here, you can stretch it or zoom in so it matches the edges of the display. And finally, right here on System is where you will be able to update your console. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll be able to clear your data to give the console to someone else. So you can tap right here on Restored Factory Settings and erase all data on the console. Now, that being said, don't worry, you won't have to be digging into the settings menus every time you want to change the brightness or the volume. If you press and hold on the home button right here, you'll get access to a quick menu where you can, once again, quickly change the brightness, quickly change the volume, and even if you tap on sleep mode, turn off the console without once again having to dig into the settings. But anyways, that is pretty much everything you need to know about the new Nintendo Switch 2. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. And well, of course, if you have any questions regarding anything that I've said, please tell me in the comments. And if not, once again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again very soon. Peace.